Hey guys, it's been a while, but I finally got my hands on it, an RTX 3070 laptop. This is in fact actually my first experience with an RTX 3000 series card. As you all know, times are a little tough and weird right now, especially with GPU pricing and whatnot. In fact, I would say that most of you out there are actually looking at getting pre-built desktops or gaming laptops in order to even enjoy an RTX 3000 series card. And ironically, that's actually the most sensible and affordable way right now. But anyways, let's leave that story for another day. For now, let's take a look at this laptop, the Lenovo Legion 5 Pro. Now I'll be frank, not a lot of laptop designs actually catch my eye. I do have quite a high standard in a sense. But this laptop definitely did. The design of the Legion 5 Pro is quite a breath of fresh air. Even though it's a gaming laptop, it doesn't have all that gamer bling and over-the-top aesthetic, and that's how I like it. Refined and minimalistic. In fact, that's how Lenovo is approaching their design with their new series of Legion laptops. For the Legion 5 Pro specifically, they do have a little theme going on. The lid kind of mimics the hood of a sports car, while the rear vents mimics the look of exhaust pipes. Like I mentioned, I really do like this design. But the chassis is just the start of a long list of good things. Next up, the display, and it's a really great one. For starters, it's actually a 16-inch display, a slight bit bigger than your typical 15.6 inches, and it sports a 16:10 aspect ratio, giving you slightly more vertical space. But here are the specs. It has a Quad HD resolution of 2560x1600, it is an IPS panel, it runs at 165Hz with a 3 millisecond response time, have support for both NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync, 100% sRGB color accuracy, and support for Dolby Vision as well. Now I'm not entirely sure if it's just me, but I've been wanting a Quad HD resolution for a laptop display for quite a long time now, especially for 15.6 inch displays and 17.3 inch displays. Quad HD offers a nice bump in resolution over Full HD, but not to the point where window scaling becomes a real issue. It is also a much better fit for GPUs nowadays to really flex their muscles, but isn't as demanding as 4K. Not to mention that it's running at 165Hz, which just makes gaming on it such an enjoyable experience. Quad HD, in my opinion, is the sweet spot now. With that being said, let's jump into performance. The unit that I have is running an AMD Ryzen 7 5800H, 16GB of RAM running at 3200MHz, and NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 capable of drawing 140 watts of power, and of course, 1TB of blazing fast PCIe SSD storage. One thing to note before we move on is that there are 3 different power profiles for the laptop, which are easily toggled using the function plus Q key, and it's also color coded via the LED on the power button. Blue for quiet, white for standard, and red for performance. Most of our testings are done on either standard or performance and will be denoted on screen. In Cinebench R20, the Ryzen 7 5800H is quite a beast. It managed a multi-thread score of about 4900 and a single thread score of 542. Though not really a direct comparison per se, it is of course performing better compared to the 5980HS in the ROG Flow X13. And just for fun, I have the results from the Ryzen 9 3900 XT from my desktop as well. You can clearly see that AMD has definitely improved on single core, single threaded performance. As for video editing in DaVinci Resolve, performance is also amazing, thanks to both the Ryzen 7 and the RTX 3070. You can also see that the overall results aren't actually that far behind the Ryzen 9 3900 XT that I have on my desktop. Now here, you can also see the difference between the two power profiles. Now the performance profile does certainly result in a slightly faster render time, but at quite a huge cost. The AMD chip was running at a constant 100 degrees Celsius the entire time. I kid you not. It did not thermal throttle or power throttle at all. It literally maintained 4 GHz across all cores with about 65 watts of power draw, and thus at 100 degrees Celsius the entire time. Not ideal. Using the standard power profile, the clock speed dropped a notch down to 3.6 GHz, and thus temperatures are much better, hovering in the mid to high 80s instead. In this mode, the CPU averages around 50 watts on the power draw. As you can see, the resulting performance difference isn't much, so we would suggest not to use the performance power profile, especially for creative tasks. It's not worth the heat. We now come to the focus of this laptop, gaming. and we added a few more titles to our usual benchmarks, especially RTX titles to really push that RTX 3070. And remember that RTX 3070 in this laptop can draw up to 140 watts of power. For all our testing, we ran the games at a native resolution of the display at 2560 by 1600, and of course, at the highest settings possible. The only setting we kept off were anti-aliasing and motion blur. As you can tell, you're getting incredible performance. CSGO easily maxes out the 165Hz refresh rate of the display, and even AAA titles like Shadow of the Tomb Raider or Metro Exodus are well near 100. Remember, these are at the highest setting. If you so wish, you can simply drop the settings to high or even medium and you'll obtain even more frames. As for RTX enabled titles, frame rates are still really great with ray tracing turned on, pretty much a 60 FPS experience. Again, the games have their graphics turned up to the 9s. If you drop a few down to high or medium, you can easily get a stable 60 frames per second experience. Temperatures are also much better during gaming as compared to creative workloads. Even on the performance profile, the CPU hovers just about the 90 degrees Celsius mark, while the GPU hovers at the 80 degrees Celsius mark. While the CPU is definitely still on the hotter side of things, it's definitely well within reason. One thing that I did notice, however, was that despite the high temperatures on the chip, the keyboard deck actually remained relatively cool to the touch. You barely feel the heat. Now I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing, but it did help with the gaming experience. The Legion 5 Pro is just a really good gaming laptop. You even get some nifty features like an e-shutter for the webcam, where it physically detaches the webcam from the PC. And you get plenty of ports, most of which are located around the back, which helps with cable management. Even the sound system is pretty amazing with support for Nahimic audio. This laptop gets just about everything right, and I personally do also really like the design. In fact, the pricing is also just about right. For just 2,700 Singapore dollars, you are getting this exact specification. Quad HD 165Hz display, Ryzen 7, RTX 3070, 1TB of PCIe SSD storage. Thus far, it might seem that I've only praises for this laptop, and yes, I do really like it, but it's not without its cons. Personally, I feel that the trackpad is situated a tad too far to the left. Half of my palm is resting on it while using the WASD cluster. While accidental presses are seldom, it doesn't feel that comfortable. As for thermals, it's still within reason on the standard profile, but I do hope that they can tweak the performance profile and improve on that, especially for creative workloads. Battery life is also another point of debate, depending on how you use your laptop, but I wish that they included a bigger battery in this because the one that's included is just a 4-cell. But those cons are pretty minor, especially when I consider the entire package that this laptop offers. It's just a solid gaming laptop, and RTX 3070 for that price is really amazing. I'm sure that if you're somewhat interested in this laptop, and if you do actually get one in your hands, this is a laptop that will definitely satisfy you. I'm really liking it. Those are my thoughts. What about yours? Let us know in the comment section down below. And if you would like to, do check out the affiliate links in the description as well. If you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Till the next one. See ya!